gonna jump into our flow scanner just to remind you guys. So to start off, anytime you jump right into STAX, it is going to filter for the week of. So since Monday till now, we have the big one here is MicroStrategy's getting a lot of calls. So expecting MicroStrategy to potentially move up further alongside with, you can see we saw Mara just move up. Coinbase just had a pop as well. So a lot of Bitcoin situations are starting to move. Other big ones like you may see. So here's how I would read this too. So SPY, you can always expect SPY, QQQ, and IWM because they're the indices to get some of the biggest flows when they are not the biggest ones. So seeing MicroStrategy up here makes me lean extremely bullish for MicroStrategy. 168 million calls to less than a million, so less than 500K in the puts. Okay, and that's just this week. So they're positioning themselves for a big move in Bitcoin and MicroStrategy in this next upcoming weeks. SPY here with the 92 million down to 33 million, so they're leaning more puts to calls. Now, I will point out when you see our indices go up to those all-time highs, this is very natural type of expectation when it comes down to where they're going to position themselves. Anytime you see all-time highs, you have people positioning themselves to hedge those in the case that we see a bigger sell-off or a bigger drop when it comes down to attacking those all-time highs. So seeing SPY do this is fairly natural. Be careful when it comes down to trading this. This doesn't make me say, oh, they're expecting impending doom or a black swan event type of thing. You would definitely see puts head up toward hundreds and hundreds of $1 million if that were the case. So this isn't anything that I would really stick my, raise my eyebrow toward. QQQ here fairly even, 48 mil to 47 mil, nothing to really look at. Nvidia, quite bullish in terms of it, 74 mil to 17 mil. But for something like Nvidia, which is one of the biggest companies out there, this is still kind of small. The thing that does point out to me here is the frequency, 20 of these. So you can click on this contract, and what it'll do is it's going to pull up exactly what they're purchasing. They're aiming for 160 by next Friday, some of these contracts. So if you are looking at Nvidia, you're expecting another breakout or you expect more news to hit about it, definitely could see that hit those numbers by next week. And here they are spending 1.6 mil. They're sold some of these calls here. This is all selling of those calls, getting out of those positions. But if I were to just filter for the buys of these, you'll see a lot of this being purchased. Okay. Back to our flow scanner. Tesla, slightly bearish, nothing major. Hood, quite bullish, 46 mil. This does include that 13 mil position that we just saw as well, with 5 mil inputs, almost 6 mil inputs. IWM, almost a 3-to-1 ratio when it comes puts to calls, but still nothing huge in terms of that. Apple slightly bullish, GLD quite bullish. So you can see, like we said, when you see people purchasing more toward the Bitcoin related names, GLD, SLV, you can think that they're expecting, maybe a pullback in the indices. They're getting a little bit, hands are starting to shake a little bit, seeing it hit those all-time highs, expecting to go into something that they feel is going to be a little bit safer, like GLD. This JPM, anytime I see a big fat 0 next to it for puts, JPM definitely a position to consider at this point. We're probably going to see some sort of money flow into banks soon, is what I'm expecting with that. If you come back in about a week or two, we'll see if that does play out to be true. Meta, 15 mil to 1 mil. AMD, 10 mil to 5 mil. So that Meta one's definitely looking a little bit more bullish. But just like I said, those bigger names, Nvidia, Meta, are Magnificent Seven type of companies. Understand that even 15 mil here, not exactly a ton of money when you consider their billions and trillions of market cap that they have. Palantir, fairly even. TLT, this is one that we talked about here, more bullish than bearish. 13 mil to our 250K. Coinbase, we did get into those earlier this week, yesterday. 10 mil to 385K. So What do I like to look for? I like to go here and I like to click on puts and look at what's at 0. So JPM, AXP, AI, SLV, CMG, Chipotle, Snow. But understand too, once we get into these smaller numbers in terms of the millions of puts, just use that to supplement what you already have in terms of your analysis, your technical analysis. Go take a look at those charts if you can. JPM definitely is the one that sticks out to me on that. And it's good to see AXP, American Express, right next to it. So they're expecting what, credit cards and banks to potentially get money rotated into it soon. One thing to do as well, go into our filter, hit equals, click on today. This is going to filter this just for today. Let's go ahead and filter it just for overall. Again, SPY, more puts to calls, definitely more bearish right now. Like I said, as we hit those all-time highs, that's expected. A hood, JPM, so those are the ones that stick out. You see how MicroStrategy drops down over here, meaning that they took those calls a bit earlier in the week. And we did see Coin, MicroStrategy, Mara, those ones pop up off